This is the Goddess Studio. You've been seeing pictures of the great tapestries all around it. And one of my great passions in life is to reinforce women feeling really good about themselves. One of the things that happened in the most recent time, what we call the patriarchal era, is the images of the divine feminine were castigated and limited. And what I believe, as far as reclaiming women's sexuality, is that we need a sense of our divinity. We need to have ourselves represented in the most positive light, which unfortunately had not been the case for at least several thousand years. So what I do here, we take a whole day, and usually on special ceremony days such as the solstices or the equinoxes or Beltane, which is going to be our next one, which is May Day. And we help women understand the traditions that predate the Christian era. And it helps women understand themselves in a whole different way. The purpose of it is for them to celebrate their femininity and to be able to be good partners to the partners in their lives, whether they're men or women. And this day that we spend is a way of reconnecting to the earth, to the labyrinth, to the sense of their own passionate, wonderful sexuality, and to feeling really good about themselves as women. This is the goddess timeline. It starts 30,000 years ago with evidence of honoring the divine feminine in Stone Age times, and it shows the archaeological artifacts that have been known and discovered all the way through time from 30,000 years ago. And you will see all of these images and these figurines that have all been dated and established. And it tells us just how long the honoring of the divine feminine has existed. A lot of people believe that history started with the Greeks or maybe in Babylonian times, but the fact of the matter is we have way, way, way earlier civilizations, and this is evidence of it. The images that you see below the larger one are divided into artifacts that have been found in Egypt, and then the ones in Canaan and Mesopotamia, and then in Old Europe. So these are all very well established cultures, and the goddess figurines and images that came from each of those cultures. This is the Guadalupe image that is very important in Mexico. Her original name was Tonantzin. She was a goddess of the earlier religions that existed in Mexico. And her special feast day is December 12th. So she is a part of the Yule celebration for many of the people who worship the goddess. So this is a statue of Aqua Sulis, who became known as Minerva in Roman times. She was known as a great goddess in Celtic times, but also now is always recognized as a goddess of the springs and of water, and had been very revered for thousands of years. These are incredible tapestries painted by my great friend Amalia, also known as Amy Peck, and she's going to explain the meaning of each of these tapestries.
This goddess scroll represents the archetype of the warrior goddess. She is the warrior of wisdom. She's carrying the flame of truth, the flaming sword of truth, and even though that's a sharp sword, the only blood that she sheds is her own. She's carrying that light of enlightenment, bringing that consciousness back into the human realm. This is the mother, the archetype of the goddess in her mother aspect. This is the mother of many. She is the goddess of many religions, many races, many beliefs, all coming together in wholeness and unity. Many of the symbols that she has represent the different mythologies and belief systems. The apple, of course, refers to the Garden of Eden, and she's reclaimed that sacred fruit and the sacred knowledge. The phallus is the candle of light that she's holding in her hand as a balance of the unity of the masculine and the feminine. And there's a butterfly symbol behind that indicating rebirth and enlightenment as well. She has the breasts, many breasts, feeding the masses, feeding the consciousness, the great nurture of all life. She's pregnant with new life. She is the goddess of birth, and she is the goddess of fertility. In her hands, she has the seeds that she is planting. They are the seeds of the yoni, of the sacred feminine. They are the jewels of life, and they are the seeds of fertility. This scroll is entitled The Empress of Ecstasy. It is about the sacred union of the masculine and feminine archetypes. It is about divine love, the blending of opposites. It is about the god and the goddess as one. We have the symbols of the sun and the moon coming together as one. We have the heat and the cool, the hot fire and the cool water coming together and merging as one. In the state of divine orgasm, all life is created, and there is that unity and wholeness and divine love. This is the representation of the sacred marriage, in particular between Jesus and Mary Magdalene. She is anointing him in the sacred marriage ceremony. We have the union of their auras, and the Vesica Piscis between them. She's holding the alabaster jar. And they're under the Jewish huppah, celebrating this divine marriage.
This statue is a representation of Isis, probably one of the most widely worshipped goddesses in Roman and Greek times, and still to this day has quite a large following. Isis is another one of the great goddesses of the ancient world, and in this case she's dressed very Egyptian because she's associated the most with Egyptian myths. This is an altar that was created last night, actually, at an event celebrating Yule and also the winter solstice. These are universal times celebrated all over the world, the winter solstice in the northern hemisphere and the summer solstice in the southern hemisphere. The symbols on the altar were created spontaneously by these women as an expression of how they felt in the moment. And the tree, of course, is a Germanic tradition. The angels and also some of the other symbols are the ones that we associate more with Christmas. This particular holiday, the Festival of Lights, has been celebrated for thousands and thousands of years right at this time because it was the darkest time and everyone wanted to celebrate light as a way of having hope. So many of you may be wondering, how does the male fit into all of this work that I do with the goddess? And in fact, the male, the divine masculine, is extremely important. When we're talking about sexuality, we're talking about the union of opposites. And that can be accomplished in many ways. But the encouragement of sacred partnership and sacred union is really at the heart of what I do. And the male is a really important part of that. What is wonderful about accepting the divine feminine as well as the divine masculine is now we don't have an imbalance anymore. We don't live in a phallocentric world. We live in a world where both the male and the female come as equal partners, as sacred partners. And that is really the part of sexuality that transcends all of the issues and the problems that you may find some of your people that come to seek your help. That's where we're going to get a big change in the world. One of the things that is one of the most primeval and beautiful aspects of the work that we do, and many people do all over the world, is drumming. We incorporate drumming because it's the most ancient rhythm. And what I just played was a little bit of a heartbeat rhythm. But it's a very earthy, very grounding, can be very sexual, but it ties us to this experience that we have on earth in a very primal way. And so drumming is a very important part of whenever we all gather together. Sometimes we gather with men and women on the solstices, and it's a very important part of that. This is a very pure tone that we use to begin meditations and to end them. And the sound alone will take you into a very deep meditative place. I have emphasized learning some kind of meditation technique in all the work I do because it's a way of bringing you to yourself, to be very present within your own being. The importance of ritual in the work that I do can't be overemphasized. What we really are looking for is a creative expression that emerges from the group and from the structure that we provide. Rituals are a way to make important things more sacred to us. And as they emerge as a creative act, they have the meaning that they are meant to have. Whereas ritual that has been rigidified then loses some of that energy. It loses a great deal of the energy that creative rituals have. But all rituals do have this quality of making sacred the things that are important to us. The labyrinth can offer a sacred space for deep healing on many levels. There is one way in and one way out. You follow the path. Give yourself the gift of silence and be mindful in each moment, observing thoughts as they come and go. Feel free to walk slow or fast, dance, laugh, or cry. There is no right or wrong way to move through the labyrinth. This is our labyrinth that is used as part of our opening rituals at the Goddess Studio. Labyrinth is an ancient image symbol that has been existent at least as far back as probably 5,000 years. The most famous recent one is the one at Chartres. This is a simpler version of a labyrinth. It is built after the Cretan labyrinth, which has fewer cycles. Now, a labyrinth actually is a walking meditation. That is the purpose. You're walking in spirals and circles, and as you go, you begin to find your way. It's time for inspiration, finding what's important in your life, prayer, setting intention. And as you come in the center, we raise our arms and call in the directions. The 4 directions are very important as a way to set a protective sacred circle. And as you do so, you call in the guides and the spiritual energy that you would like to help with your own insight and growth on the day that we have these events.